The stars above Sirion Prime glimmered like scattered diamonds, casting a soft silver light over the grand city of Solarian. Floating platforms stretched high into the sky, connected by glowing energy bridges that hummed with quiet power. In the midst of this awe-inspiring beauty, the Zirkai Empire prepared for an event that no one could have imagined even a generation ago. The marriage of their queen to a human. Queen Larith of the Zirkai had ruled with wisdom and calm for decades. Her telepathic abilities allowed her to sense danger long before it arrived, and her reputation as a fair, just, and formidable leader was known across countless star systems. To her people, Larith embodied perfection. Strong, intelligent, and composed, she had no equal. And yet, even she could not anticipate what was coming. Captain Elias Ward was a human officer in the United Earth Alliance, known for his courage, sharp mind, and unshakable sense of honor. He had spent years exploring space, negotiating peace treaties, and helping prevent conflicts that could have escalated into wars. He was strong, yes, but compared to the Zirkai, humans were considered fragile. Their strength limited. At least, that was what most believed. The Union had been proposed as a diplomatic move. Humans and Zirkai had clashed in the past, their misunderstandings nearly leading to war. Now, with both civilizations recognizing the need for peace, the marriage was intended to cement trust. But for the people of the Zirkai Empire, the idea of their queen marrying a human was strange. Even shocking. As Elias arrived at Solarian aboard the sleek Alliance shuttle, he gazed at the floating city with quiet admiration. The buildings seemed to float like clouds, their surfaces shimmering with energy fields that shifted colors, depending on the angle of the light. It was a world unlike anything humans had built. Yet despite the splendor, Elias felt the familiar tension in his chest, the kind that came whenever he was about to step into unknown territory. The shuttle doors opened, and he stepped onto the landing platform. Zirkai attendants, tall and slender with translucent skin and glowing patterns that shifted across their bodies, greeted him with bows and polite gestures. Elias gave a small nod in return, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes studying him. A few moments later, Larith appeared. Her presence was like a calm wave washing over the entire platform. She was taller than humans, her posture perfect, and her eyes glimmered with the soft, shifting colors of her mood, a subtle display of her telepathic aura. Elias had met her only once before, during preliminary peace talks, but seeing her now, standing in her ceremonial robes that glimmered like starlight, made him pause. She was more impressive than any records or descriptions could convey. Captain Elias Ward, she said, her voice soft but carrying a natural authority that made the platform fall silent. Welcome to Solarian. Elias bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. It is an honor to be here. There was a moment of quiet between them. Larith studied him, as if trying to read not only his mind but the very essence of who he was. Elias felt exposed, yet oddly safe. There was no malice in her thoughts, only curiosity, and perhaps a hint of amusement. The ceremony was to take place the next day in the Hall of Unity, a grand structure carved from a rare, translucent mineral that glowed from within. As Elias was escorted to his quarters, he couldn't help but marvel at the architecture. The hall seemed alive, pulsing with energy that responded subtly to the emotions of those inside. For humans, it was almost magical. That evening, Larith visited Elias in his quarters. She moved with silent grace, her glowing patterns softening as she entered the room. I wanted to speak with you before the ceremony, she said. Her tone was gentle, but there was an unmistakable curiosity in her voice. Elias nodded. Of course, Your Majesty. I'd be glad to. She walked closer, studying him with those shifting eyes. Humans are different. I have read your history, observed your behavior, and yet, I do not fully understand your resilience. You survive conditions that would challenge even my people. You endure dangers that others flee from. How do you do it? Elias smiled faintly. We adapt. We find ways to survive, to keep moving forward, no matter how impossible things may seem. Larith tilted her head, clearly intrigued. Adaptation. Yes, that is an ancient concept among humans, but it is rare. I had assumed it was. Diminished in modern times, not as much as you think, Elias replied. We may not have the strength of the Zirkai, or the telepathy, or the energy manipulation you can perform, but we have something else. Something that shows itself when we must protect those we care for, or when danger is unavoidable. It's like a spark, a hidden strength that awakens in the moment we need it most. The queen was silent for a moment, her patterns flickering in thought. Perhaps I underestimated your kind, she said finally, almost to herself. The following day, the Hall of Unity was filled with delegates from both civilizations. The air was tense, thick with expectation and polite curiosity. The humans were noticeably out of place among the Zirkai grandeur. But Elias walked with confidence, never allowing the difference in size, form, or aura to intimidate him. As the ceremony began, Lorith and Elias stood side by side. The council elder, an ancient Zirkai with skin that shimmered like liquid silver, spoke of peace, unity, in the hope that this marriage would bridge centuries of misunderstanding. Every word resonated with the crowd, yet in the minds of many Zirkai, a question lingered. Could a human truly be a partner for their queen? Elias caught Lorith's eye and gave a small, reassuring smile. He didn't speak, but in that silent moment, a mutual understanding passed between them, respect, trust, the quiet acknowledgement that they would face whatever came next together. After the ceremony, the celebrations began. Music filled the air, a blend of human instruments and Zirkai energy harmonics that created a sound almost tangible. Lights danced along the walls of the hall, casting colors that shifted with the rhythm. Lorith moved gracefully among her people, and Elias followed, offering polite words and gestures to those he met, despite the joy around them. A shadow lingered on the horizon. Rumors of a faction opposed to human Zirkai unity had begun to spread. Some whispered that humans were weak, unpredictable, or even dangerous in their own way. Others feared that the marriage could upset the balance of power in the galaxy. Elias ignored the whispers for now, focusing instead on Lorith and the moment they shared. As the evening drew to a close, Lorith and Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The stars stretched endlessly above them, a reminder of how small yet significant each life could be in the vast universe. You seem calm, Elias said, breaking the comfortable silence. I have learned that calm is a choice, Lorith replied. But I also feel anticipation. Something is coming, though I do not yet know what. Elias nodded, understanding. Whatever it is, we will face it together, for the first time since the alliance was formed. Lorith allowed herself a small, genuine smile. She did not know what challenges awaited, but she sensed something remarkable in the human at her side of strength. She had never truly witnessed before. In that moment, neither queen nor captain could have known how true her intuition was. Hidden within Elias was a power that only revealed itself under extreme pressure, a strength that could shake the foundations of entire civilizations. And the universe would soon learn it. As the night deepened, the lights of Solarian shimmered, reflecting both hope and the quiet tension of the unknown. A new chapter was beginning, one that would test the courage, resilience, and unity of two very different species. And at its center stood a human whose strength, though hidden, was about to astonish the galaxy. The morning sun rose over Sirion Prime, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. The floating city of Solarian glimmered in the light, its crystal towers reflecting every color. It should have been a day of peace, a continuation of the joyous celebrations from the night before. But beneath the beauty, a quiet tension lingered, one that even the most attentive could not ignore. Queen Lorith woke early, as she always did, her mind alert and restless. Though the marriage ceremony had gone smoothly, she could feel a subtle shift in the atmosphere. It was almost like a whisper in her mind, a trace of uncertainty she could not place. She did not yet know that danger had arrived. Captain Elias Ward, on the other hand, enjoyed a simple human breakfast. He appreciated routine, even in foreign worlds. He sat by the balcony window, staring at the city below, sipping a warm beverage from a mug designed by Zirkai artisans. Its glow changed colors with the temperature of the liquid inside. A small wonder of alien engineering. Breakfast? Lorith's voice was soft behind him. Elias turned. Thank you, I was just about to call for you. She smiled faintly and joined him at the small table. Though her movements were graceful and deliberate, her eyes scanned the city as if she expected trouble at any moment. There's unrest, she said quietly. I can feel it, even if no one speaks it aloud. Elias nodded. I've seen similar patterns among humans. People fear change, even when it is for the better. Sometimes they act on that fear. Lorith's glowing pattern shifted, reflecting her curiosity. Do you think humans are brave? Elias chuckled softly. We can be. And sometimes, when it matters most, we are stronger than anyone expects. She studied him, as though trying to measure the truth in his words. There was a spark of something in him, a strength she could not yet define. She did not know that this spark was about to ignite in a way the galaxy had never seen. By mid-morning, the celebrations resumed, this time at the Hall of Unity's observation deck. Delegates from dozens of star systems gathered to witness the symbolic Union of Peace event, where the Queen and her new human consort would plant a crystal tree together, a tradition that symbolized the growth of alliances. The platform above the city was bustling with life. Humans and Zirkai moved among one another, exchanging greetings, stories, and laughter. Yet as Elias approached the ceremonial area, he noticed something unusual. A small energy ripple passed through the platform, subtle but unmistakable, a sign of interference. He paused, glancing at Lorith. Her attention was already drawn to the same ripple. Something is wrong, she said softly, her voice carrying a note of concern. Elias nodded. I feel it too. Stay close. As they moved forward, the ripple grew stronger. Suddenly, a loud shudder ran through the floating platform. A sharp crack echoed in the air as one of the energy bridges connecting the ceremonial area to the rest of the city fractured. Delegates screamed and ran, but the platform itself began to tilt dangerously. Laura's first instinct was to raise a protective telepathic barrier, extending her mind to shield those around her. The air shimmered as her psychic energy formed a glowing dome over the panicked crowd. But before she could fully stabilize it, another, stronger vibration shook the structure. Part of the platform's edge collapsed into the void below, sending debris tumbling in every direction. Panic spread like wildfire. Humans and Zirkai alike struggled to keep their balance, some trapped under fallen panels or crushed beneath the weight of equipment. Elias reacted without thinking. He sprinted forward, his movements fluid and precise, even as chunks of the floating structure broke away. Using his hands and shoulders, he lifted heavy panels of metal and stone, tossing them aside as though they weighed nothing. Delegates stared in disbelief. Move. Get back, he shouted, guiding people to safety. Lorith watched in stunned silence as Elias ran toward a collapsed walkway, where several young Zirkai trainees were pinned under debris. He crouched, gripping the heaviest panel with both hands. His muscles bulged unnaturally, his eyes focused, and with a sudden, impossible strength, he lifted the structure and tossed it aside. The children scrambled to safety, their eyes wide with awe. For the first time, the Queen realized the truth of the stories he had whispered to her the night before. Humans could be stronger than she had imagined. Elias did not stop. Another crack appeared in the platform, threatening to separate an entire section where delegates were trapped. Without hesitation, he grabbed the collapsing section, bracing it with his body as he guided the crowd to safety. Sparks flew from the energy conduits as they bent and fractured around him. But he remained steady, his focus unbroken. Lorith extended her barrier again, but now she worked alongside Elias, amplifying his efforts. Together, human strength and Zirkai psychic power stabilized part of the platform. The crowd began to move safely toward the center, following the path cleared by the human captain. The platform finally stopped shaking, though pieces still fell around them. Dust hung in the air, mingling with the faint hum of energy from the damaged conduits. The delegates looked around, stunned, and then their attention fell on Elias. He stood tall, dust and debris clinging to his uniform, sweat on his brow, but otherwise unharmed. His breathing was steady, controlled, his eyes scanning the platform for any remaining danger. Queen Lorith could not look away. Her glowing patterns flickered wildly, reflecting shock, admiration, and something else, something close to awe. Human, she whispered, almost to herself. Elias turned toward her, giving a small, humble nod. We're safe now. Everyone is okay. The Queen's mind raced. She had known humans were resilient, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. The strength, the speed, the instinct. It was as if the universe had hidden a force within him, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Delegates approached cautiously, murmuring to one another. Some whispered praise, some questioned their understanding of human capability, and some simply stared, unable to comprehend what they had witnessed. One young Zirkai guard, his patterns flickering in disbelief, asked, How? How is this possible? Elias shook his head with a small smile. Sometimes, when the moment demands it, humans can do things no one expects. Larth stepped forward, placing a hand lightly on his arm. You have shown me a truth I did not see before. Not just about your kind, but about you. Her voice was steady, yet the intensity of her gaze made it clear she was deeply impressed. He looked at her, understanding the weight of her words. We may be different, but strength is not always measured by size or power. Sometimes it is measured by the heart. The crowd slowly began to regain composure. The platform, though damaged, was stable, and the emergency teams started to guide everyone to safety. Engineers examined the fractures in the energy bridges, while medics assisted the shaken delegates. Elias remained by Larith's side, watching every movement carefully. He felt the surge of adrenaline beginning to fade, replaced by a quiet exhaustion that reminded him he was human. And yet, even now, he sensed that this was only the beginning. As the emergency situation was contained, whispers spread across the observation deck. Aliens from various star systems had witnessed the display, and all were discussing the implications. A human capable of such strength was a phenomenon no one could ignore. Queen Larith stood silently, her mind reflecting on what she had seen. She had always been confident in her own abilities, in her telepathy, in her years of training and wisdom. And yet, Elias had shown her something new, the raw, adaptive, almost untapped potential of humans. The shadows of doubt and skepticism had disappeared, replaced by a growing realization this human was extraordinary, not just in body, but in spirit. That night, as Solarian's twin moons rose, Elias and Larith stood together once more on the balcony. The city below had been shaken, yet it still gleamed in the soft light, a symbol of hope and resilience. Today was remarkable, Larith said softly, her patterns flickering in thought. Elias smiled. It was, and tomorrow will be even more remarkable, I think. There is much to learn, and much to do. She nodded, her mind still processing the events of the day. I underestimated you. I thought I knew humans, but now I see. There is strength within you that even we did not expect. Elias looked at her, a spark of quiet pride in his eyes. Strength shows itself when it must, and sometimes it is not just for survival, it is to protect others, to give them a chance to keep living, to keep hoping. For the first time, Larith allowed herself to truly feel the bond forming between them. It was more than respect, more than admiration. It was trust, and it was growing fast. And somewhere deep inside, she knew that the events of this day were just the beginning. The universe had many challenges ahead, but together, human and queen would face them. And when the moment came for Elias to unleash the strength that lurked within, the galaxy would never forget it. The calm of the evening over Solarian was deceptive. The city glimmered under the twin moons, its floating towers casting long, silver reflections across the clouds. Inside the Hall of Unity, preparations continued for the next day's official peace treaty signing. Delegates moved about, discussing trade agreements, security measures, and the alliance's future. But not everyone was celebrating. Hidden in the shadows of one of the observation platforms, a group of cloaked figures whispered in hushed voices. Their intentions were clear. They opposed the union of humans and Zirkai. They had watched the events of the day unfold, the strange, impossible feats of a single human, and they feared what it might mean for their plans to dominate or control the galaxy. Did you see what he did? One hissed, voice trembling. A human, lifting beams that even our strongest warriors could not. This cannot be allowed. Another replied, "We must act carefully. If we fail, the queen will stand with him, and our plans will be destroyed." They melted into the shadows, plotting, while above them, life carried on as if nothing had happened. Captain Elias Ward and Queen Lorith had returned to the palace after the earlier chaos. Though exhausted, Elias could not rest. Humans were trained to remain alert under pressure, and his instincts warned him that trouble was brewing. He spent hours studying structural reports, security measures, and delegate movements, all while Lorith observed him with fascination. "You are always prepared," she said, her glowing patterns flickering softly. "Even after today's events, you anticipate what may come next." Elias shook his head. "It is not just preparation. It is awareness. Humans have to rely on our senses, on reading situations quickly, and reacting when there is no guide. We adapt to survive." Lorith's patterns shifted, reflecting curiosity and intrigue. "Adaptation. Yes, I can see it. And yet, today, your adaptation was more than survival. It was strength beyond measure." He gave a small smile. "Sometimes, when others are in danger, the strength inside shows itself. You do not notice it until it matters most." Before Lorith could respond, an urgent call came from the palace's security command. Energy readings from the northern observation bridge had spiked unexpectedly. The same ripple effect that had caused chaos earlier was detected again, this time stronger and closer. Elias's expression hardened. "It's happening again. We need to move now." By the time they reached the northern bridge, chaos had already begun. The platform trembled violently, metal straining under some invisible force. Delegates and palace staff scrambled, but there was no clear path to safety. "This is worse than before," Lorith said, her aura pulsing as she tried to sense the cause of the disruption. "It is not natural. Someone is manipulating the energy systems." Elias's mind raced. He didn't know exactly who was behind it, but he knew what needed to be done. He ran forward, pushing through falling debris, lifting heavy panels, and clearing paths for those trapped. He moved faster than anyone expected, his reflexes sharper than normal human limits. The Zirkai guards tried to assist, but even their telepathic coordination struggled to keep pace with the speed and unpredictability of the collapsing platform. For a moment, it seemed as if the platform might give way entirely. Then, Elias reached a section where an entire energy conduit had snapped, threatening to collapse the bridge completely. Without hesitation, he crouched, gripping the heavy metal frame. His muscles bulged as he lifted the conduit off the panicked delegates, holding it in place long enough for them to escape. Sparks rained down around him, but he remained calm, unshaken, like a pillar of determination. Queen Lorith watched, unable to speak. Her glowing patterns shifted rapidly, reflecting shock and awe. She had never witnessed such raw, adaptive strength in any being, alien or human. One of the younger Zirkai attendants whispered, He is like nothing I have ever seen." Lorith's voice was quiet, but her words carried weight. "This human, he is extraordinary." The bridge stabilized, but only temporarily. The cloaked saboteurs had not revealed themselves, yet their energy manipulation continued, straining the platform. Elias realized that speed alone would not solve this. They needed strategy. He quickly assessed the bridge's structure and the paths available. Using a combination of brute strength and quick thinking, he started to anchor critical points of the platform with his body, while instructing the guards where to place temporary stabilizers. "Move the panels to the eastern support. Clear the southern exit. Keep people away from the edges," he commanded, his voice calm but firm. The Zirkai guards obeyed, impressed by his clarity under pressure. One of the senior guards whispered to another, "He is not just strong, he commands with intelligence." This is unprecedented, with the delegates guided to safer areas. Elias then turned to the next problem, a falling energy conduit that could sever the bridge entirely. He braced himself, pushing upward with all his strength. The metal bent slightly under his hands, but he did not falter. Slowly, inch by inch, he lifted it into a position where it no longer threatened the platform. Lorith, still beside him, extended her telepathy to stabilize nearby structures. Together, human strength and Zircai's psychic power created a balance that held the bridge steady. Even as the saboteurs' interference continued, finally, the attackers revealed themselves. Using energy cloaks, they attempted to flee into the shadows of the city. But Elias did not hesitate. With precise calculations of movement and timing, he intercepted the nearest saboteur. The alien lunged, expecting to overwhelm him with advanced technology. Elias sidestepped with agility beyond normal human expectation, disarming the assailant and blocking the path for the others. The rest froze, stunned that a human could move with such speed and intuition. Queen Larith's mind raced. She realized that this human, whom she had married for the sake of diplomacy, was a force the galaxy had underestimated. His strength was not only physical, but also mental and instinctive ability to assess danger, adapt, and act in ways no one had predicted. "You are remarkable," she whispered, almost to herself. Elias looked at her, breathing heavily but steady, and nodded. "We can't let them stop what we've started. We protect those who trust us, no matter what." The saboteurs, seeing the impossibility of overpowering him, retreated into the shadows. Their plans had failed for now. The city's emergency teams began repairs, and delegates slowly returned to safety, still whispering about the human who had saved them. As the chaos subsided, Queen Larith approached Elias. Her eyes shone with admiration and a growing trust that went beyond the ceremonial. "I had thought humans fragile, limited. Today, you have proven otherwise. You are a being of strength, courage, and adaptability beyond anything I expected." Elias looked at her, tired but resolute. "Strength shows itself when it is needed most. I did not do it for praise. I did it because it was necessary, because people needed help." Her patterns flickered softly, reflecting a mixture of pride and wonder. "And yet, your actions have changed everything, not just for me, but for all of my people. You have shown that humans are more than we imagine." For the first time, she truly understood what she had married. Not just a diplomat, not just a human, but someone capable of rising beyond limits when it mattered. Someone whose potential had been hidden, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. By the time the stars shimmered over Solarian once more, the bridge was repaired, and the city was safe. But Larith and Elias knew this was only the beginning. Whoever had attempted the sabotage would not give up easily. And the galaxy had now witnessed the strength humans could possess. "They will come again," Larith said quietly. "And next time, they may try something far worse." Elias nodded. "Then we'll be ready." Humans and Zircai, together, stronger than they expect. The Queen studied him, her glowing patterns flickering in thought. "Together, yes, that is the truth. And I see now that even I underestimated what your species can do." Elias smiled faintly. "Underestimation is something humans are used to, but it is also what gives us the chance to surprise others and sometimes to save lives in the process." As they stood on the balcony, overlooking the floating city, a quiet bond formed between them, one built on trust, respect, and the shared understanding that the galaxy would never be the same again. In the shadows, the cloaked saboteurs regrouped, whispering about the impossible human and the Queen who trusted him. They did not yet understand the truth. This human was more than just strong. He was the spark that could ignite hope across worlds, a force that, when unleashed, could change the balance of the galaxy forever. And Elias Ward was ready. The morning sun rose over Solarian, casting a warm glow on the floating city. After the chaos on the northern bridge, the city's residents and delegates were still whispering about the human who had saved them. Captain Elias Ward had become the center of conversation not as a diplomat, but as a hero. Even the most skeptical Zircai began to reconsider their understanding of humans. Queen Larith observed the bustling city from her palace balcony. Her glowing patterns flickered with thought, reflecting both concern and fascination. Humans, she realized, possessed a hidden strength unlike anything the Zircai had ever seen. Elias was not just brave, he was adaptable, resourceful, and capable of feats that surpassed their expectations. The peace treaty signing was scheduled for that day. Delegates from multiple systems would gather, and every detail had to be perfect. Yet the shadow of the sabotage attempt lingered. Larth knew they could not afford another attack, not when the alliance was still fragile. Elias, she said softly, stepping beside him on the balcony. You must be exhausted. Please, take a moment to rest. He shook his head. There is no time to rest. Something tells me the attackers are planning their next move. We need to be ready. Her patterns flickered faster, reflecting curiosity and worry. You are certain it is the same faction? Elias nodded. Yes, they want to prevent the humans and Zirkai from uniting. They fear what we represent together. Larth sighed but nodded. Then we prepare. But today, you are not alone. My people will stand with you, and I will be by your side. The Hall of Unity had been reinforced overnight. Energy barriers, structural supports, and safety protocols were doubled. Delegates entered the hall with cautious optimism, noting the presence of extra Zirkai guards and human security personnel. Yet despite the precautions, an undercurrent of tension ran through the air. Elias moved among the delegates, observing, assessing, and anticipating. He had developed a sixth sense during his human missions, a combination of instinct and experience that allowed him to detect threats before they arrived. The crowd was unaware, but he already had contingency plans in place for every possible scenario. Captain Ward, a Zirkai elder said, approaching him cautiously. Your abilities yesterday, they are remarkable. How can one human accomplish so much? Elias smiled politely. Humans have potential that is rarely seen. We adapt, we survive, and sometimes, when the moment demands it, we surpass what others expect. The elder's patterns flickered with thought. I did not know your species could achieve this. Perhaps we have underestimated humans for far too long. Elias nodded. Perhaps, but underestimate us no longer. We are stronger, braver, and more capable than you imagine. The ceremony began. Queen Larith and Elias stood side by side, ready to plant the symbolic crystal tree that represented unity between humans and Zirkai. Delegates watched in silence as the queen extended her hand to Elias, and together they placed the crystal in its pedestal. Light pulsed through the crystal, spreading a soft glow across the hall. Then, without warning, the hall shook violently. Energy readings spiked, and an explosion of light erupted near the ceiling. A section of the ceiling began to collapse, sending shards of energy crystal crashing toward the delegates. Panic swept through the hall. Elias reacted instantly. He sprinted forward, catching falling crystal fragments with his bare hands and tossing them safely aside. Zirkai guards attempted to help, but the shards moved faster than their eyes could track. With a combination of speed and strength, Elias cleared a path for the delegates. Guiding them to safety, Larith extended her telepathy to stabilize the collapsing section. But even her power struggled to contain the destruction alone. Elias noticed her effort and adjusted his movements, bracing the heaviest pieces while she reinforced the edges with her psychic energy. One of the young delegates whispered, "How can one human do this?" Another replied, "I do not know, but he is." Incredible. The saboteurs revealed themselves more boldly this time. Cloaked figures emerged from hidden tunnels within the hall, attempting to manipulate the energy conduits and disrupt the treaty signing completely. But Elias was ready, using his heightened reflexes. He intercepted the first attacker before the alien could touch the energy system. With a precise movement, he disarmed the saboteur and used his strength to hold a heavy barrier in place, stopping others from advancing. His movements were fluid, instinctive, and beyond what the Zirkai had ever seen. Queen Larith's glowing patterns flared as she watched. He is not just strong. He is extraordinary, a human, capable of feats we thought impossible. Elias glanced at her, determination in his eyes. Strength is not just for survival. It is for protecting others, for ensuring that what is right can happen, together. They coordinated their efforts. Larith stabilized damaged structures with her telepathy, while Elias moved swiftly, lifting debris, blocking passages, and protecting the delegates. Every action he took was precise, calculated, and fueled by instinct. Delegates whispered in awe. News would spread quickly. Humans, when pushed to their limits, could become something far greater than expected. After the saboteurs were finally stopped, the hall was secured, and emergency teams assisted the shaken delegates. Elias, though tired, stood tall, his uniform slightly scorched and dust-covered, but his resolve unshaken. Queen Larith approached him, her expression reflecting awe and newfound respect. "You have shown me the truth of your species," she said softly. "Humans are not fragile. They are adaptable, resilient, and capable of astonishing strength. And you are extraordinary among them." Elias shook his head humbly. "I did what anyone would do if it meant protecting others. But humans do have hidden potential. We rise when we must, and we discover strength we did not know we had." Larith's glowing patterns softened. "I see it now, and I understand why our alliance is not only possible but necessary. Together, humans and Zirkai can accomplish what neither could alone." The alliance had strengthened that day, not through ceremony or words, but through action. The galaxy had witnessed a human's potential, and it was undeniable. By nightfall, Solarian's floating city was calm again. Delegates returned to their quarters, sharing tales of the human who had saved them. Rumors spread fast. Humans were capable of strength and courage that even the advanced Zirkai could not fully comprehend. In the palace, Elias and Larith stood on the balcony once more. The city below shimmered under the twin moons, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the potential of unity between species. "They will not stop trying," Larith said quietly, her patterns reflecting thought and concern. "Those who oppose this alliance will return with more cunning." Elias nodded. "Then we must be ready. Humans can adapt, and when combined with your abilities, nothing can easily defeat us. We protect each other, and together, we become stronger than anyone expects." She studied him, admiration and trust shining in her eyes. "Together, yes. I understand now that this human strength, combined with our unity, can change the future of the galaxy, and I see that you are the key to this." Elias smiled faintly. "Strength is not just in me. It is in all humans, waiting to show itself. And today, we have proven what is possible when we combine it with your power and wisdom." The Queen nodded, her glowing patterns flickering with quiet excitement. "Then we prepare for what comes next. Let the galaxy witness the true potential of humans and Zirkai together, above them." The stars sparkled in the endless sky, as if approving the promise of unity and strength. And in the quiet of the night, a spark of hope ignited, one that would guide their actions in the challenges yet to come. For Elias, it was not about glory. It was about proving that humans, underestimated and overlooked, could rise to greatness when the universe demanded it. And for Larith, it was a revelation. The human she had married was more than a partner. He was a force that could reshape the future of countless civilizations. The night held promise, and both of them knew that the next challenge would come soon. But together, they were ready. The galaxy was watching. The dawn over Solarian was quiet, almost peaceful. The floating city glimmered in soft gold as the first light of Sirion Prime touched its towers. But beneath the calm, a storm was brewing. The rival faction, humiliated by their earlier failures, had regrouped. They were determined to prevent the human-Zirkai alliance from succeeding. Captain Elias Ward, ever vigilant, sensed their presence even before alarms went off. His instincts, honed through years of exploration and conflict, told him that this would not be a minor disruption. It would be the ultimate test of strength, unity, and courage. Queen Larith, standing beside him on the palace balcony, watched him with a mixture of admiration and concern. "Elias," she said softly, "you must know, this may be the greatest challenge we have faced. Are you ready?" Elias gave a small, confident smile. "We are ready. Humans have hidden strength, and I know your people will stand with us. Together, nothing can stop us." Larith's glowing patterns flickered, reflecting both trust and pride. "Then let us show them what unity can achieve." The palace was soon alive with activity. Security teams prepared defenses, energy barriers hummed with power, and delegates were moved to safer locations. Yet the saboteurs did not wait. Using stealth technology, they infiltrated the lower levels of the palace, aiming to reach the council chamber where the alliance's treaty would be finalized. Elias moved quickly, coordinating human and Zirkai forces. His eyes scanned the corridors, calculating every step, every obstacle. The saboteurs were skilled, but they had underestimated one thing: human adaptability and determination. A sudden alarm sounded. A section of the palace was collapsing, triggered by the saboteurs tampering with the energy conduits. Without hesitation, Elias dashed forward. Walls trembled as he lifted debris, cleared paths, and guided personnel to safety. His strength, precise and controlled, was unlike anything the Zirkai had ever witnessed. Queen Larith followed him, extending her telepathy to stabilize sections that threatened to fall. Together, human strength and Zirkai psychic power created a protective corridor, allowing delegates to move to the upper chambers safely. A young Zirkai attendant whispered to another, "He is more than any warrior we have trained." "How is this possible?" Larith's voice was quiet but firm. "It is not just strength. It is heart, determination, and instinct. Humans possess it in ways we cannot predict." The saboteurs, realizing they could not overcome the human directly, tried a final gambit. They activated an energy pulse designed to collapse the central support of the palace. Hoping to destroy the council chamber and halt the treaty, Elias assessed the situation instantly. The pulse would take seconds to reach critical levels, and no ordinary being could stop it. But Elias was no ordinary human. With determination blazing in his eyes, he sprinted toward the central support. The pulse struck, and energy surged around him. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and the structure groaned. Elias braced himself, using every ounce of strength and focus. His muscles strained, but he held the support steady. Minute by minute, second by second, he countered the pulse with sheer physical power. Ensuring the building remained intact, Queen Larith joined him, reinforcing the structure with her telepathy. Together, they formed a bridge of strength and energy that resisted the pulse, stabilizing the palace. Delegates watched in awe, realizing that this man was holding the palace together with nothing but willpower and skill. When the pulse finally subsided, Elias stood, exhausted but unbowed. His clothes were scorched, and sweat dripped from his brow, but his eyes shone with determination. Laura stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. Her glowing patterns reflected amazement and respect. "You have done what no Zirkai alone could achieve. You have saved not only this palace, but the Alliance itself." Elias shook his head. "I did what anyone would do if the lives of others were at stake. But our humans do have this potential. We rise to the challenge when it matters most." The saboteurs, defeated and captured, were brought before the council. They had underestimated the human and the bond between him and the queen. One of them, defiant even in defeat, whispered, "No one can stop the power we will unleash next." Larith's eyes narrowed. "You have already failed. Your attempt to destroy unity has only proven the strength of humans and Zirkai together." Elias stepped forward. "You tried to divide us, but you underestimated the bond between our species. That bond is stronger than any technology or trick you can use." The council watched, impressed by both the humans' courage and the queen's authority. The alliance, forged through respect and now tested in action, had proven unbreakable. In a private chamber, after the chaos had ended, Larith and Elias stood together, looking out at the city below. The sun had risen higher, illuminating the floating towers and sparkling bridges. For a moment, the universe seemed calm again. "You have changed everything," Larith said softly. "Not just for my people, but for the galaxy, humans. You are stronger than I ever imagined." Elias shook his head humbly. "It is not just me. It is all humans. We have strength that shows itself when it is needed most. And today, it showed not just to you, but to everyone who witnessed it." Larith's glowing patterns brightened, reflecting awe and admiration. "I had thought strength was measured by power, skill, or knowledge. But you have shown me it is also measured by courage, by will, and by the heart. You have earned the respect of every delegate here today." Elias looked at her, a faint smile on his face. "And you have taught me that strength is amplified when combined with trust, wisdom, and unity. Together, we can face anything." The queen nodded. "Then let this alliance be a beacon. Let the galaxy see what is possible when humans and Zirkai stand together." News of the day's events spread quickly across the stars. Humans who had been underestimated were now seen as a force of resilience and potential. Aliens who doubted the Alliance's success now whispered about the extraordinary human who had saved an entire palace, and with it, the chance for peace across multiple systems. Delegates returned to their worlds carrying stories of heroism, courage, and unity. They spoke not only of diplomacy but of the tangible, undeniable strength that humans could bring to the galaxy. Within the palace, Larith and Elias reflected on the journey, from the first day of the ceremony to the threats of sabotage and chaos. They had faced challenges that tested both human and Zirkai strengths. And yet, through courage, adaptability, and trust, they had prevailed. "You have changed the way my people see humans," Larith said quietly. "And you have changed the way I see you." Elias smiled. "Then perhaps together, we can change the galaxy as well." She reached out, taking his hand. Her glowing patterns softened, reflecting warmth and hope. "Yes, together. And the universe will never forget what we have done today." As night fell over Solarian, the stars shone brighter than ever, as if celebrating the bond between human and Zirkai, between strength and wisdom, between courage and trust. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary, a human, underestimated by all, standing side by side with an alien queen, ready to face the challenges of the universe. Elias and Larith stood on the balcony, overlooking the city. The air was calm, yet charged with the promise of the future. Together, they had proven that unity could overcome fear, that strength could rise from unexpected places, and that courage, when paired with wisdom, could change the course of civilizations. The rival faction had been defeated, not merely by weapons or force, but by something far more powerful, the unbreakable bond between human and Zirkai, and the extraordinary potential of humans when the moment demanded it. Queen Larith's voice broke the silence. "The galaxy has seen your strength, but more importantly, it has seen the strength of unity. And that is the greatest power of all." Elias nodded. "Then let the galaxy remember it. Humans are not to be underestimated. And together, with your people, we will face whatever comes next." And with that, the sun rose higher, casting its golden light over Solarian. A new era had begun, one defined by courage, unity, and the extraordinary strength of a human who had changed the fate of a galaxy. The queen could only stare in awe, knowing she had witnessed something legendary and knowing that the human she had married would shape the future in ways no one could have imagined. The universe would never be the same again.